Okay, so welcome and good evening. This is the Holistic Pet Free Monthly Teleconference, and I am Sue Ann Sesha-Harnden. I'm a certified Yasui Reiki master teacher. I'm an energy medicine practitioner, and I'm also an animal communicator and the owner of Fifth Dimension Healing Energy LLC here in Clinton, New Jersey. And I've helped dozens of people and animals gain balance and wellness in my practice, gaining peace of mind by using my expertise in energy medicine to help them gain wellness and vitality in their lives. Energy medicine is great to reduce stress in your life, physical, mental, and emotional wellness, promotion of healing, and enhance overall vitality, all in a safe, natural way with no side effects and very gentle and easy to incorporate alongside anything else that you might be doing in your wellness approach. And the same is true for your animals. And it's my mission to help you and your pets become the best version of yourself using these safe and gentle techniques of energy medicine. And I am joined here tonight by my brilliant colleague, Brongany Cindy Rounceville, so I'll let her introduce herself. Cindy?
Hello everyone, I'm Brongany Cindy Rounceville, and I'm a homeopathic health consultant educator. And my expertise for over the past 30 years is helping women and men that are interested in using a natural method of healing for themselves, for their families, including the pets, to acquire health and well-being by educating them how to use homeopathy. I offer homeopathic consultation for people and for pets. And I also offer homeopathic self-help classes in person or online videos. So Sue Ann and I have separate businesses. And we've known each other professionally for about 5 years or so. We've known each other. We realize that we have a shared passion of helping pet parents who want to help their animals by using a natural way of healing. And over the past several years, we've been referring clients back and forth. I would have a client have some issues. I say, contact Sue Ann. She might be able to help you out with some communication or whatever. And we realized that we can actually combine our services together. And that's where we decided to use a more integrative approach. And we joined by doing the holistic pet programs that we started to do. So together we offer pet parents educational resources through our monthly teleconference series. We also do live educational talks we do. And we also have our Pet Premier package, which we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So Annie, you want to navigate us through the Zoom?
Yeah, so many of you who are joining us, if you're on your computer, you might be a little new to the Zoom technology. So I just want to give you a little orientation. I'm going to just talk about the navigation bar, and if you want to change what you're seeing in terms of the Zoom for the other participants, or how your screen is organized. So if you're on a computer, if you're on your phone, you're just listening on audio, and that's awesome too. And everybody will be muted during the presentation part, and then we'll open up the phone lines and the chat for the Q&A portion the last 15 minutes or so, hopefully, of this call. So first of all, if you're trying to figure out what's on my screen, you'll see either little thumbnails, or you might just see what we call the active speaker view. If you take your mouse on your computer and just sort of hover over, usually it's up at the top, there's like a little tic-tac-toe type board, and if you click on that, it might say gallery view or active speaker view or full screen view, and that's how you can change what you're seeing on the screen on your particular computer. And then if you take your mouse down toward the bottom of the screen and hover over it, a little black navigation bar will come up, and that will have things like mute, stop video, participants, chat, and more. And so if you do want to type into chat, you'll want to click on the word chat. And if you click in there now, you can actually see I typed a little welcome message to everybody, and that would bring up your chat box. And I do encourage you to, as you're thinking of questions, I know we have a bunch of questions pre-submitted, but if you think of questions during the webinar, please feel free to type them into chat, because we will go back through the chat list at the Q&A portion, and we'll pick up anybody's questions from chat at that point. Okay, so I think that takes care of most of the navigation. And then just level setting everybody, again, tonight we're presenting several case scenarios relevant to our topic here. It is bouncing babies to teens, young animal issues, and this is all about helping your young pet adapt and adjust their behavior to their new life, their new home, their new siblings, all using the safe and natural, gentle, holistic approaches that will help them And we're going to be talking about how to support young animals in these formative stages from birth all the way into their teens. And you know, many of us know if you have a young animal, they are boundless with their energy. They're bouncing off the walls, and sometimes they do need help to constructively channel that energy as well as in a training situation. So some of the types of scenarios we are going to talk about tonight, and these are all real life case studies that both Cindy and I have used and experienced and helped people with in our practices. Some of the things that we'll talk about include potty litter box training, eating inappropriate objects, just the whole training, learning, discerning environment, what to do with overstimulation, teething, and also helping them find their role in the pack or in the family dynamic. And then we'll be thrilled to take all your questions at the end and have an open question and answer session with you. So please understand that we may not be able to do a deep dive consult with you during your Q&A, but we will happily try to answer the questions as best we can in the time we have allowed, okay? So Cindy's going to start us off with our first case scenario. So take it away, Cindy. What's the topic? What are we talking about?
So the first topic is the boundless energy and overstimulation. So I don't think, well, first I want to say is that puppies and kittens, they have a lot of energy. So that's to be expected. But what happens sometimes is that their energy is out of balance. It's like a hyperactive child, you want to say. So I don't think it asked to help a puppy that has been jumping up on everyone. When somebody comes into the door and they're jumping up, and part of that has to be, I want to say, training. You know, you have to train the puppy not to be jumping up, kind of a thing. But there is a little bit of excitability when people come in. So I'm going to give you a case scenario that I have seen over the years. So my client tells me every time someone comes in through the door, their puppy jumps up and on the person and pees on the floor. How many times have you seen that? They step on you and then they pee. Hopefully they don't pee on you, but they pee on the floor. This can be either a hyperactive puppy, or this could be one that loves people and company. And with somebody they all love people, but when they are, over loving, over there, like all over you, kissing you, all that kind of stuff. A lot of times it's coming from an abandonment place. And what happens is that you feel when you get these animals, the puppies and the kittens, you get them, that they're removed from their family, from their siblings, they're removed from, and they're brought over into your home. And now they're missing their mom, they're missing their siblings. And how do we know that? They're in the crate at nighttime and they're crying and they're crying and they're crying. What do? We bring them up into our bedroom, we do. And next thing you know, they're on their bed because we don't want to hear them crying so we can sleep and we feel sorry for them. So what happens is that, or also I don't know if abandonment is that, is that the puppy or the kitten follows you everywhere you go. Now that commonly happens with animals, all animals. But when it happens is that when you're going to leave the house, you can hear them crying. You can hear the puppy whining when you hear them crying. So this is what an animal who feels abandoned. So what happens in a case like this is when a puppy that's very hyper-peeing, you need to address why they are feeling this way in order to select the homeopathic remedy. What actually is going on? Once you select the remedy, you would give that remedy to them once a day. Let me give you what a remedy would be. So this is what a homeopathic remedy looks like for you guys in a store, right? The boron blue tubes. What we would do, you would put the remedy in a bottle, in a dropper bottle. So once you select a remedy, would it be for a hyperactive puppy or would it be an abandonment puppy? You would select the remedy, put the remedy in a dropper bottle. We would succuss the bottle 10 times. We always succuss it. And then you would place a drop or so on the animal. You could try to put it in the mouth, but a lot of times the dropper gets all full of saliva and it's not really, to put it back in, it's not good. So what you would do is either put a drop on the puppy's nose or the kitten's nose, or you put it somewhere else on the body, you would do. As long as they has touched their body, they've had that remedy. So what you would do, they would do it once a day, you would give that remedy. And then within 2 or 3 days, you'll see improvement. They'll be less hyper, or they won't be crying at nighttime, or when you leave the house, they won't be crying. And the key thing here is that the puppy will not be jumping up all over somebody when you walk into the door. That's how you know the remedy is working. Let me back up a little bit. Let me explain for those who are not familiar with homeopathy how homeopathy works. Homeopathy works by matching or the person's symptoms to what's called a homeopathic remedy symptom picture. So some of you may have heard the homeopathic remedy arnica montana. So arnica is used for sore, achy muscles. So when you give arnica to a pet or to a person for sore, achy muscles, the homeopathic remedy arnica stimulates the immune system. And it's the immune system that does the healing. It brings about healing of the body. So we're matching apples for apples. That's why I said is that even though the animal is hyper, you got to figure out why they're hyper. Are they just hyperactive because they're just boundless energy? We need to kind of contain that energy, or is it more from abandonment, or why is that animal out of sorts or hyped up is what I want to say. So once you find what those symptoms are through questioning, then you build a select remedy accordingly. So, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about potty training.
Yeah.
Potty training and litter box. Well, I don't usually get calls for potty training or litter box training. What I get calls for is for somebody who has already been potted, a pet who has been potty trained already. And what happens is now they're having a urinary tract infection, a UTI, or now they're having diarrhea. So what's happening is they're missing the litter box, or they can't get out, you can't get them out the door quick enough to go use the bathroom. So what I would like to do is explain a case of my daughter. Now, the other thing I want to talk about potty train litter box problem a lot of times is that the family dynamics change, and that could be why that animal is not getting to the litter box or having accidents before you get them outside. Or also, I've even seen, I even had a cat years ago that was having a problem. All of a sudden just started pooping in the house because we had some construction going on in the house. So when the things, there's changes in the house and the energy in the house, a lot of times animals, that's how they act out. So let me give you a case scenario of my daughter's had her cat that I want to share with you. My daughter's cat, Pandora, was peeing. She was peeing all over the place. She was, peeing, missing the cat litter box. And every time she would pee, she would cry out. And that's common. You see that for urinary tract. They would pee, they would cry. So what I did is I recommend a homeopathic remedy according to her urinary tract infection, and then look at the symptom of crying when she peed. So we gave the remedy to her once or twice a day. We gave the remedy to her. And within 24 hours, we saw improvement. Pandora stopped crying when she was peeing. A few weeks later, Pandora started back up again. She started peeing outside her cat litter box again. So we went back to the remedy, gave the remedy again. Okay, maybe sometimes you have to give a couple rounds sometimes, for urinary tract infections. She was fine for a while. Then she started peeing again. This time she started peeing on my daughter's living room carpet. And we went back to the remedy, and it kind of helped a little bit. Now my daughter was getting very upset because the cat was peeing. Why does she keep peeing? And not only that, the house started to smell like pee. And she wasn't too happy about that. So she didn't know what to do. So I recommend that we talk with Sue Ann. I said, I have a friend of mine that does animal communication, and I recommend that she has a session done with Sue Ann. So we took a picture of, actually my daughter has 2 cats. When you do animal communication, everybody, all the animals are all in have something to say, I guess when I say to Sue Ann. They all want to chime in. So Sue Ann did animal communication, and Pandora asked, with specific question, why Pandora was peeing everywhere. And Pandora said that she was PO'd. You know what I mean by PO'd? Pissed off, all right? And that's why she was peeing. And I see that quite often even in people, but urinary tract infections, I always ask, what are you PO'd about? What are you upset about? That's a lot of times what's happening there. So she told Sue Ann Pandora told Sue Ann that she is PO'd that my daughter's new boyfriend. Well, my daughter's new boyfriend just moved into probably about a few months prior, moved into the house. And Pandora was not happy with him. She did not like him at all. She said that my daughter can do better than move better than him. And she also did not like the way that he was treating her. Now I want to say, Sue Ann had been, I've known her, for over 5 years or so. We've talked back and forth, but Sue Ann knew nothing about my daughter. She knew I had grandkids. She knew I had a son and daughter. We really never discussed anything about them. So when Sue Ann started telling me this information, what Pandora was saying, I was writing furiously down, writing all the notes down I was writing. And I said to her, we've been telling my daughter this about this guy that we did not, we did not care for, not just my husband and I, but even my son and even her friends were saying the same thing. So what happened was Sue Ann made up a flower essence for my daughter to rub onto both cats. So when you do animal communication, Sue Ann will explain more to me. You do animal communication. Like I said, everybody chimes in. And the dynamics are all off there. So when Sue Ann does the flower essence, it's formulated for all those involved. So my daughter would rub the flower essence on both cats. And within a couple of weeks, Pandora stopped peeing on the carpet. And the other good news about it is that after several months later, my daughter finally broke up with the boyfriend. So that's what happened. So Sue Ann, you want to add to that and explain more about what you do?
Sure. So with the animal communication, which for those who don't know how that works, it's vibrational medicine in the sense that we're literally telepathically and empathically picking up the vibrations, which is how the animals are communicating. They're sending information, and every animal communicator has a different way, if you will, of receiving that information. Some people hear things, smell things, they just get a knowing, a sense in their body. All the senses are involved, and then we are basically translators and act as translators for the pet parent. So we're almost like the UN. Imagine you see the UN and they have those little headsets on, everything's being communicated in one language, in cat or dog or bunny or whatever the species is, and then we're sort of picking that information up, translating it into human speak so that we can tell you what's going on. So that's a little bit about animal communication. And as Cindy said, flower essences, another part of that consult was just working with the vibrational medicine of flower essences. And flower essences are a little similar to homeopathy in that they are distilled essences of the flowers. In this case, it's literally the divine wisdom of that flower for all of its evolution over thousands of years, all of its healing wisdom of how it has solved challenges in its environment. And through a consult, we pick the right combination of flower essences to address the patterns. Now, the beautiful thing about flower essences is they're super simple to use. Like Cindy said, you can just kind of spritz them on your hands, put them in the environment. The idea is to get them in there because they really are information in a bottle. And so you are actually seeding in missing information or healing clues to the recipient of the flower essence. And that's what they do is they take that information up into their electrical system, and then the electrical system knows how to disperse that up through the body and the rest of the energy system to rebalance and provide healing clues. So really easy to use alongside everything else that you might be doing in your healing wellness kit. But in this particular case that Cindy just described, this is a great example of where animal communication specifically as a tool is really great to get to the root cause and find out what the actual problem is, not just the symptoms. So the symptoms would have been cat peeing outside litter box. How annoying is that? How do I stop that? The real problem was the relationship between the daughter and the boyfriend being out of whack and throwing all the harmonics and the dynamics off, and then getting everybody pissed off and angry. So it's just great that we can actually get to the real cause of it through animal communication by getting the animal's perspective. And it's very healing for both the animals and the people because now everyone is heard and understood, right? We all know how it feels when someone finally hears us and understands our perspective. And it's no different with the animals. They are often thrilled to be heard and tell you what they think. And hopefully, you can all rebalance and adjust based on that information. Now, I also want to add just about that particular case that cats in particular are very fastidious by nature. And so just as a general note, especially with young animals, it's really important in those formative first, couple of months or years that you do sort out and try a few different things to find out what is suitable for your cat. In the case of a litter box, it's really important, right? So finding the right kind of litter box, where is the litter box, what kind of litter, it's just really important because it needs to be what your cat will use and tolerate so that you don't have problems that are just environmentally caused, right? It needs to be clean. You need to have multiple litter boxes if you have multiple pets. Thinking about multiple levels in your home is another opportunity to have maybe, multiple litter boxes just so that you can take care of all the environmental concerns And also it needs to be cat friendly, not just, for the people. A lot of times people will get those hooded boxes, or they'll use super perfumey litter because that is appealing to them, which it is definitely not necessarily appealing to the cats. And so if they're not interested in using it, they're going to find someplace else to go. So quick tip here is a pro tip is check out a book called The Natural Cat by Anitra Fraser. There's some great ideas about how to start out with, figuring out what is great for your young dog or your young cat. She has the natural dog as well as the natural cat. And I guess that the end story there is sometimes peeing outside the litter box is really about the litter box, right? And so don't be part of the problem. Make sure that the litter box is clean and you've taken steps to find something that your cat will actually enjoy using and be happy to use, and that it's nice and tidy and clean, because that is the way cats like it. Okay, so another scenario that is pretty common is this whole scenario around acting out, right? Or needing, what I would say is needing to find a better way to communicate. And of course, when the animals are really young, just like with babies, they don't have all the tools yet to necessarily communicate in maybe what we would see as an appropriate way. So they do it however they can do it. They have to get your attention somehow. So I'll share a case with you where I had pet parents and cat owners who adopted a new young male cat. Lots of energy, great personality, but this kitty has a habit of biting and swatting and scratching the owners, trying to get their attention around food, play, and so they were basically subject to a lot of sneak attacks. Now they're a little older couple, so although they love the energy of the cat, the sneak attacks are a little bit concerning because sometimes the cat would just come out of nowhere and try to get their attention, or they're walking by and they get an open-handed paw swat, and now they've got a scratch on their skin, and that's painful. And so they're getting they're loving their cat, but the cat seems really needy and aggressive to them. And if they don't pay attention to him, so what do they do, right? How do you solve that? So in this case, the first thing we decided to do was, let's get in there, let's do an animal communication session. Let's understand this kitty's point of view and provide some direction, because it is a two-way process, right? We can communicate things to them about how we would prefer things to go or what our concerns are, as well as ask them questions and get information back from them about what they think about that or feel about that. So we actually wanted to understand from Kitty what Kitty was, what was the concern, and also provide some direction and some options, some acceptable options, how to appropriately communicate what he needed and wanted. And it really worked well because he was open to it. It did not happen overnight. It was because he was a young animal. It did take some rounds of training and discernment and also reinforcement, positive reinforcement, like when he did something well and got their attention and didn't like scratch up their legs, he just kind of rubbed against them or shook his tail or something that was a positive sign. We gave him a lot of options. We gave him, why don't you try this? Or if you want mom and dad to feed you, why don't you let us know by doing this? And he did pick up a lot of those clues. And so over probably 6 months to a year, the parents did tell me there was a lot of good behavior shifts in that area. And we also supported that with a flower essence specific, again, to the environment of the cat and the people, for what was going on there. So the whole family was able to benefit from this flower essence. And they use this flower essence daily, sometimes a couple of times a day, which is great because we're always putting those clues in to rebalance the environment. And they have seen significant improvement over the course of a year with this outburst behavior, much, much less than it had been. So very positive outcome for that. And so that's all I want to say about that scenario. And Cindy, I'll take you over to the next common problem, which is teething, right? We see a lot of animals.
I commonly get calls for teething. So my client calls up telling me that her puppy is chewing on the rocking chair leg. You know how that is? They're just gnawing away over there. They are. The kid's toys because he's teething. So I asked her if the puppy has been biting the members, and like taking a little bite out of them. And she says, yes. Every now and then he would just grab onto their arm, he would do. So the puppy received the homeopathic remedy once a day. Again, we would put the drop or so on his body, we would do. And so the symptoms here I would look for is he's gnawing down, he's teething, and he's also wanting to grab onto people. What happens is that even with babies is that there's a particular teething remedy that they would want to like bite down and not want to let go because they're trying to break those teeth. It's almost like with a baby, you want to give them something to bite down hard on. It's the same thing with the puppies doing. So in this case, the puppy is trying to bite down on the wooden leg of the rocking chair to help break those teeth in. So once you would give the homeopathic remedy once a day, within 24 hours, that the chewing would have lessened already. And in some cases, I've even seen the biting down, especially biting down on the owners, I've even seen within a couple of hours improve. So that's how quickly the remedy would work in this case. So you might say, why is homeopathy still being used since it's been around since the early 1800s? Well, homeopathy, it's natural. There are no side effects using the extremely small doses of non-toxic potentized plant, mineral animal substances, which is called the homeopathic remedy. And like I mentioned before, homeopathy works by stimulating the immune system. So it's the immune system that does the healing with homeopathy. You can take a homeopathic remedy in conjunction with medications, and it's cost effective. This little vial here has about 80 pellets, and you only need 1 pellet. So all you need is you have 80 doses in here. And if you add that pellet to a bottle, 1 pellet to this bottle, when this bottle gets low, you add more water to the bottle from that same 1 pellet. You can get at least 6 to 7, if not 10 refills from 1 pellet. So you can't get any more cost effective than that. And these little vials here are probably about $10 a bottle. So it's very cost effective is. So the next thing I want to talk about is eating inappropriate objects. A lot of times it's feces. So when an animal is eating indigestible things, it's the sign of what's called pica. And pica is caused by malnutrition, vitamin deficiency. Usually a lot of times looking for calcium. So what happens when you're eating indigestible things, you're looking for, what do I want to say, like in dirt. And a lot of times in dirt is where calcium is. So it's, like I said, a vitamin deficiency. It also could be increased appetite. That's why they're eating things, they're hungry, they're eating appetite. Parasites is a big sign a lot of times when I see animals eating indigestible things. Could be a sign of diabetes. Could be also a thyroid problem. Could be a behavioral problem, anxiety or stress. It could also be coming from corticosteroids like prednisone could also cause animals to do that, and anti-seizure medication such as phenobarbital, I should say. So the case that I commonly would see is that the client will call me up and says, every time my puppy goes outside, he's eating everything, including poop he's eating out there. So you would give the homeopathic remedy according to what the animal's looking for there. And you would give the 30C remedy. 30C is the potency of the remedy. They come in 6, 12s, 30s, 200s, and higher they come up. So a 6 is lower, and then a 30C is higher than a 6C. So you would give that remedy once a day. Again, tap 10 times, put a drop or so on the nose or on the body somewhere. And within a few days, that animal will no longer be looking for those kinds of foods anymore, those kind of indigestible things. It's amazing. My client would say, I wish I would have called you sooner, but you've been eating everything in sight here. So, yeah, it's like I said, you got to figure out why they're eating. So a lot of times it's parasites, and a lot of times, like I said, it's calcium. They need the calcium for the growing bones, what they need it for the teeth, what they're looking for. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is finding their role in the place of in the family or in the pack. Sometimes you have multiple animals that they call more like a pack. So this could be bringing home a new pet. I've also, maybe Sue Ann has also seen the animal acting out when you bring home the baby. A new baby happens. Yeah. So when the pet is acting out, a lot of times they're intimidating or bullying other animals. They're either eating the other pet's food, another way of intimidating them. Aggressive behavior towards the animal, even towards the people, to the owners. And also they're peeing and pooping in places they're not supposed to be. So the case that I have here is the client calls up telling me that her neighbor passed away, and the neighbor had asked her if she would take her 5-year-old male cat, Jasper, in, because she wanted to make sure the cat had a place to go. So my client took the cat in, and in the meantime, she already had 2 cats. She had a 7-year-old cat, female cat Fluffy, and she had a 2-year-old female cat, Kichi. So Kichi was okay with Jasper, and because Kichi saw Jasper as a playmate. since Fluffy was not really paying much attention to her. She's older, she's 7 years old, she wouldn't be bothered with her. However, Fluffy had a problem with Jasper. And what would happen is Jasper would actually was bullying Fluffy. And what he would do is he would what do I want to say, you know, lunge at him, you know, like kind of like tacker he would do. He also started eating Fluffy's food. So in other words, when food came down, he would just barge right over and start eating Fluffy's food. So what happened is we gave both cats a bullying remedy. And by giving the remedy once a day, within 2 or 3 days, both those cats had already backed off. Now you may say, why'd you give Fluffy a remedy too? Because when you're dealing with bullies, you deal with the bully, and you're dealing with the guy who is, you know, the bullier, you know, the guy who's actually doing it. So there's two roles right there need to be addressed. And what happens is that if you don't address the one who's being attacked, then what happens is that carries on. That's why there's a bully. For every bully, there was one who bullied them prior. So you want to stop the chain, you know, the chain reaction you want to stop. So both people or both animals need to be addressed. So again, after giving the remedy once a day, within 2 or 3 days, the bullying stopped. Jasper stopped bullying Fluffy, and then Fluffy no longer felt that she was being threatened anymore. Suanne, can you add anything to that or anything you want to share or you've helped with?
Definitely, yeah. I actually had another case I just made me think of a few years ago with 2 cats in a small townhouse environment, and both were rescues. One had been there prior, so there was a precedent, you know, in other words, the first animal was there and then another animal was brought into the home, and they were definitely not getting along. This is definitely a case of disharmony where, you know, there's a lot of territorial issues. And the owner was really beside herself because she said, you know, I love them both, but I can't live with World War III every day. I mean, they were attacking each other. They were ripping up the place. They were just, you know, spitting at each other and stealing food. And they each had their own space. They actually had space in opposite ends of this very small home environment. And so theoretically, you know, everybody could have had their own space and they could have just, you know, not bother with each other, but they didn't. They kind of felt more the need to interact and kind of mix it up, as they say. So she was really beside herself because she felt like the only solution she had was to take one of them out and rehome them to somebody else, which she really didn't want to do. And in that case, I actually was able to come on site because she lived right near me, and we did literally a 1-hour session of Reiki. So Reiki is healing energy, and it's all about rebalancing, and it's about letting the animals take what they need and you know, rebalance whatever part of their energy body, you know, needs to be rebalanced. That could be physical level healing, that could be mental, emotional, it could even be spiritual level. In this case, I think a lot of that healing probably went up to the mental emotional because for whatever reason, there were hurt feelings and there was a lot of territorial, you know, concern going on. And, you know, sometimes you see questions like, you know, there's a lot of jealousy, there's anger, there's neediness, there's, you know, am I being replaced? You know, who's the alpha here? What's my role? How do I fit in? And all those things, just like they do with people, you know, tend to make us very anxious and then also tend to make us lash out. So we get, you know, these destructive behaviors happening. So in a 1-hour session, and the parent was home, so she was actually able to sit there. She and I sat in the living room, and the cats started out in their both respective bedrooms. And just letting the Reiki, you know, be there, be filling the space, sending it to the animals with the highest intention for harmonizing everybody, right? So we're not going for best friends, we're just going for harmonious coexistence, which sometimes is the best outcome you're going to get there, right? So that everybody can tolerate everybody feels safe, and everybody can basically be in the same home environment. And it was amazing. Right about maybe 30, 40 minutes into the session, the cats came out of their respective bedrooms. They both crossed paths walking in the living room, went past each other, kind of gave each other a look, you know, going by like, okay, went to the other cat's room, checked it out, came back through the living room, and then they kind of resettled. They just settled. And we just let them go. I just said to her, just be still, you know, just be here. Let's just be in the space and let's just let the energy rebalance and resettle. And when I left an hour later, what happened was one cat was actually up on the bed and the other cat was under the bed sleeping in the same room, which was tremendous for her because she really wanted to be able to have the cats as companions and be home with them and have everybody kind of be together. So she was just amazed. It went from World War III to peaceful coexistence, and that is a huge, huge win. So that's what's possible with Reiki. And again, flower essences, like we talked about a little bit more before, are great for rebalancing these kind of patterns because, again, we can fill in those missing clues. The electrical system can take that information up. And by the way, flower essences, a little bottle kind of looks similar to what Cindy showed you with the homeopathic remedy. These typically are in blue cobalt bottles, a colored glass to protect the vibration because it's a vibrational medicine. It needs to be protected from light and heat and other things, but they're very simple to use. We would put those into a separate water bowl. We would put a drop or two on our hands and maybe pet it into the fur, or put it in a mister bottle and spritz it around the environment just to get that healing clue up and into the environment and into the pet's electrical system. But again, a lot of times those issues are mental, emotional level issues. It's not necessarily a physical thing. It's something happening more on the emotional level. And whether it's a homeopathic remedy or a flower essence or Reiki, you can rebalance that so that they can kind of level out and everybody can feel safe and harmonized. And that's a great outcome. I have one more case study, and then I think we want to get on to some other things here before we get into question and answer. So last thing I'm going to share personally is just about training and discernment and following directions. So I've had several clients who are dog show folk and who are working with their young pets and trying to help them train and help them be the best they can be when they're trying to be in the show environment, and have them call because the dogs are exhibiting a lot of anxiety in the training or at the show events. They don't seem to be able to follow commands, or maybe they kind of lost interest in some of the training activities or the show activities. And so, they're paying a trainer and they're not getting the results. And so what's happening is, you're getting a pet that's frustrated, you're getting an owner that's frustrated, and then a trainer that's frustrated. And so that's challenging for everybody. So like, what do we do? So again, something that could be really helpful and has helped in these cases for my clients is animal communication. So let's go in and ask the dog, do you really want to be a show dog? Or are there things that we're doing in the show dog world that maybe you don't like? Maybe you like agility training, or you don't, or you want to do something else. You want to, get some other activities in your life. And, if you're afraid, if they're anxious, are they afraid of something? Are they afraid they're going to fall or get hurt? What's causing that? Let's get behind it. So the idea is with animal communication, let's get to the underlying root cause from the pet's perspective, so we can communicate back to you, the pet owner, and then now you have some more insight and you can plan or react accordingly to that information. And then support them with other things, which was the case for several of my clients in the dog show world, is, we offer them Reiki for rebalancing. Let's help them level out some of those feelings, let that energy, get rebalanced, let them let go of the fear and the anxiety and come back to balance and calm and centered and knowing, who they are and knowing what their capabilities are. And if they are really, really stuck, we might use another technique called spiritual response technique, where it's just a really ingrained pattern of energy and that needs to be cleared at a higher level. So there's many, many different techniques to work with to help in the training and discernment area. It just depends on kind of where they're stuck and what the anxiety is presenting as, whether it's I don't want to go to training, or I don't want to go to the show, or I'm there and then I get nervous. They're all different patterns that we would need to address and we would talk through with you. And just remember, animals live in the world of energy. They read it, they interpret it, they take it on. They're very quick to hook up and to take the benefits, if you will, of energy medicine. So again, a remedy can work really fast for them. A flower essence can help shift them. A Reiki session can help shift and rebalance their energy, because that's what they do in the wild. They react and they rebalance using all the tools of nature. And so, yeah, there's that. One more thing I just wanted to add in, and this is just another pro tip, is somewhere, and I wish I remember where I got this information, but I'll just give you the tip. It is coming through my research that the first 6 months or so with young animals, super important as to what they define as food. And, there's so many things we can offer our pets now in terms of pet food, right? We can make it ourselves. There's all kinds of high quality nutritional, organic, this and that, but whatever you give them in the first 6 months is what they now understand to be food. So if you kind of stay on one track, you only give them a certain kind of dry food and something happens, let's say in the manufacturing process, or there's a shortage or something, or it's not available when you move someplace else, you're going to have challenges later on. So advice is go broad, give them a lot of choices, a lot of options when they're young, expose them to lots of different foods, just like we do with our kids. Because that way, if you ever have to switch, if there's any kind of a manufacturer's recall or a problem, or dietarily there's something that, you need to switch and adjust, you're going to have a much easier time if you can get that kind of into their awareness in that first critical 6-month period. So just wanted to share that with you. All right, Cindy, let's take it home before we get to Q&A. We've got a couple of other things we want to share with you about natural health.
So now that we've covered some of the more common cases that your pet can experience in adjusting to going from a kitten to a puppy, we want to circle back around here. And with the first reason, the main reason why you're here with us tonight, and that is to help your pet to get healthy and to stay healthy using a safe and natural method. So let's review the 3 signs of health. So we're all on the same page. So often when something goes wrong, we want a quick fix. We want a quick cure, as they would say, without really thinking about what really is going on or what could happen with these so-called quick fixes. In homeopathy or energy medicine or other integrative approaches, we are seeking to rebalance the body systems, the energy field we're looking to do for optimal health and wellness. So what does that mean? So there's 3 signs of health. The first one is increased or balanced energy. Now, we talked about balanced energy for puppies and kittens. So balanced energy means, like we talked before, if it's hyperactive, we want to bring it back down to its a normal normal energy, balanced energy. The second sign of health is a well-being feeling. The mental and emotional has changed. Like back with the bullying. Now they're no longer bullying, or back with those 2 other cats, as Sue Ann gave the scenarios, they are back in harmony again. They're able to cohabitat with one another. And then the third cycle of health is sleep cycles, or either improved or more appropriate for their age. So if it's a hyper animal, a cat or a kitten or a puppy, they are balanced energy, but at the same time they're sleeping. So after they have had some either homeopathy or some other kind of energy medicine they would have, you would see them more balanced out. Now, again, if it's an older animal, and we're talking about puppies and kittens here, but if it's an older animal, you want them to be not necessarily acting like young puppies or kittens, but to be more active according to what their age and species is. So once you have the 3 signs of health, whether it be increased to balance energy, they feel a well-being feeling emotionally, or their sleep cycles to improve, then the bodily systems, the bodily functions, their digestion runs better, their elimination is much better, their appetite is much better. Everything's all in harmony is what happens here. Now, these 3 signs of health are not just for pets. This is also for people too, is where this comes from. Another reason why you might be with us tonight is that you're tired of this, what they call the scattershot approach. And you're looking more for a holistic, integrative way to help your pet. So when you're working with an integrative approach, you're more likely to get to the root cause of why the pet is not feeling well, and therefore help them to move back to balance, back to a healthy, faster, and without side effects. So we talked about before about how the bullying and some of the other animals, how once we're able to address the root cause as to why they were acting out or why they weren't feeling well, they went back into harmony again. So you know how it feels like when you don't feel well. It affects your quality of life. It creates emotional, mental stress, and then eventually it goes down to physical stress. And then in time it affects our immune system. We start becoming sick. So, which can later on lead to illnesses. What we want to do is when we are able to balance ourselves back out, where we're able to address what's going on in our life, we go back into harmony, and our quality of life is much better. You know how it is when you have to go to work, you don't feel well? You got to drag yourself out of bed and get into work and drag yourself back home again. And if you have family, you have to tend to, it only adds more onto it. So we're always looking to get well quick. And so is our pets. Our pets are looking for the same thing. So would it be okay if I was to tell you about our Pet Premier package, which will offer you and your pet a more comprehensive way to address issues they are facing by addressing a unique way of physical and mental, emotional, and even spiritual?
I would love to tell them about the holistic pet package now. So why don't you go ahead and give them the highlights.
All right, so the Pet Premier package includes phone consultation with Sue Ann and with myself, along with homeopathic remedies and treatment unique to your pet based on the consultation. All the services are offered remote healing or by phone or an energy healing basis. They are scheduled appointments after you have purchased your package. And what it includes is one animal communication with Sue Ann, one homeopathic consultation with me, along with homeopathic remedies, and one remote energy medicine with Sue Ann. And Sue Ann mentioned about Reiki, SRT, so it'd be one of those other remote methods would be. Your pet will be receiving support from several angles to help them rebalance their stress and health to a safe and natural way. If you book the Pet Premier pack within 48 hours of today's call, you'll receive our special pricing of $197 for all 3 services, which we are offering at our live events and these kind of talks too, which is normally $229. I don't know about you, but I know it's very easy to spend $200 at a vet with just one animal taking. So with our pet package is that it is for 3 months. It can be used for multiple animals, except for the homeopathic consult is only used for one animal is what it be used for. So if you're concerned about your pet's current levels of health and having dealing with chronic illness issues, sorry about this guys, I'm trying to read this, chronic issues in any of these areas, act now and let us help you to help your pet get back to peace, calm, and a balanced life. The offer is $197, and you have until 5 p.m. on March 15th, which is 48 hours from here. So what it is that it's 30 minutes of an animal communication session. You'll have a pre-briefed and a debrief 15-minute calls you'll have before and after. It'll be a 30-minute energy medicine, which would be distant healing with either Reiki, SRT, EFT, Eden Meridian balancing, a 30-minute homeopathic consultation, which includes 2 15-minute check-in calls and the homeopathic remedies. So what you're getting here is 3 hours of focused consultation and treatments for your beloved pet or pets. Now, like I said, it could be used for multiple pets to help deal with their health condition and bring it back to a natural, safe way. Once you have purchased your package, we will reach out to you. We will schedule a session and go over the pre-work. There'll be forms that need to be how you fill out, brief form, intake form to how you fill out, and you have 3 months to schedule your sessions. What we recommend you do is an animal communication first to kind of get a little, see what's really going on there. And again, like I said with my daughter, is, all the animals chime in. So you're going to get information on all the animals, and especially the main one that you have that has the main health issue. Get a drink here, guys. Once you had your animals communication session, then you would either book a session with Sue Ann for energy healing, or with me with homeopathy. It'd be one or the other. So like I said, it could be multiple animals. You can do a cat, you can do a dog, but the homeopathic consult needs to be only with one animal. What we'll do is, Sue Ann, can you put the information up for us?
Yeah, that's during the Q&A. I just want to be sensitive to our time too. So
where are we at there?
Okay. Get into Q&A in a few minutes.
All right.
Yeah, so I'll put that up while people are asking questions.
Okay.
And also, we're going to email that to you folks. We're going to send you a little recap email after this. So everything that Cindy just talked about in terms of the package will be in that email as a quick reminder, along with the 48-hour deadline to get the special offer for tonight's presentation. But yeah, I think without anything else, Cindy, I think why don't we just get to Q&A. We did actually have a bunch of questions submitted ahead of time. So let's go there first.
Okay, which one do you want to go with first?
Let's go with the folks that are on the phone first. So,
Right.
so we had a question from Merle. Now, and this is regarding a 2-year-old cat rescued who lived on the streets, has had a little anxiety, maybe a skin allergy, is aggressive with food, and just wanted to know any suggestions that we might have. So, do you want to talk about that from homeopathic first?
Okay. So in hearing this, always when you take a case on, there's always questions to ask. There's well over 3,000 homeopathic remedies. We have to kind of narrow the list down somehow to hopefully 2 or 3 remedies, and then hone in on the one that we actually need. So in this case, what I would ask is, how long have you had the cat? Because the cat's only 2 years old. The first year has been on the street. So you wonder, you only had the cat for 6 months. If you only had the cat for 6 months, then yeah, you can understand why the cat's still kind of skittish, because it was living on the streets for that long. It could also have parasites, could have anxiety. So parasites can cause anxiety, could also cause aggressiveness in eating food too, because they want to grab everything they can get. I haven't seen it with animals so much, but I've even seen it with people, with children especially, is that what they'll do is they'll hoard food because of the parasites. They'll put them like little, in their bedroom dressers, they'll put them in the toy boxes they'll put in. They're finding ways to have food later on when they need to have a snack. It's not them, it's the little natives inside them that get a little hungry there. Skin conditions is either a liver problem or a digestion problem. So our skin is our large eliminating organ. So when you start seeing skin symptoms, it would be allergy or even skin symptoms, the liver and the digestion is off. I don't mean it's got a bad liver, I just mean the liver runs the whole digestive process. So that's what needs to be addressed in this case, if it's a skin problem. So I would need to have more information about the actual animal to be able to help you to clarify. Can we unmute them, Sue Ann?
Yeah, I'll add a couple of things in before we do that, because we've got a bunch of questions, so
okay.
I'm sure we get to all the questions too. But just a couple of things for that particular case would be flower essences and Reiki would be great. Reiki is quite often used in shelters and rescue situations to help with that, basically to help release a lot of that anxiety, the abandonments, any aggression, any fear, worry of all of that, happened before they came into our loving home, because we just don't know what happened to them, right, when they were living on the streets. And so Reiki particularly would be effective for that, but I would also think flower essences would be very supportive for that, because there are very specific in the collection I use in that cover that whole abandonment abuse spectrum, and that is specific for like ferals and rescues, where we would use that to help them rebalance their whole energy pattern and basically release the past and be able to move more smoothly into their new home, their new environment, and leave all that negativity behind. So there's that. So
a little bit I want to say is that in addressing this case, they would probably take the remedy once a day. And I'd be looking for, if it's more anxiety or the aggressiveness, I'd be looking for a change in 24 or 48 hours. As far as the skin goes, I look for a change in 5 to 7 days, because it takes a little bit longer to go from the digestion to start clearing things out with the skin. So that's what I'd be looking for homeopathically once we were able to arrive at the actual remedy that is needed there.
Yep. So without getting into a detailed consult, did that generally answer your question, Mel?
It was a help, and it's definitely, I was, on the same path as thinking of, where she came from.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest issue really is more about the aggression, I think, and she's got anxiety about food.
Yeah.
I think I have the skin allergy thing like under control for now.
Mm-hmm.
She's on special food and stuff like that. So it's really more, because even tonight I picked her up. I thought we were all, having a great day. And she completely, she scratched my face for the first time. She scratched my neck and my face. I can't even, cut her nails.
Yeah.
Well,
Same tools, Reiki, flower essences from my side. Perhaps, there might be other things depending on how ingrained that pattern is. We might use animal emotional freedom technique. We might use even meridian balancing. We might even use the spiritual response technique to try to erase the negative side of those patterns and kind of rebalance them. So there's a lot of possibilities with energy medicine to try to work on the aggression side of that.
What are your thoughts on the Young Living lavender oil? Like to, you know.
Not a big fan of essential oils for cats. They're not, unlike dogs who can tolerate essential oils better. Cats really don't, they're too potent for them, for their energy field and their energy system. So if you do use a diffuser in the house, just run it a little bit, don't have it continuous. Definitely, I would be very careful about putting anything on the body with cats.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just doing the diffuser.
Yeah, but even that, you have to be careful because that is it's really potent with essential oils. So even the great ones like lavender that we would use for like pretty much every other case, you just have to be very careful with cats. They're not constitutionally well adapted to essential oils. So, you know, just back off on that directly with them, have it every once in a while, use it in the environment, but just make sure they're not exposed to it on a continuous basis.
Okay.
The last thing I want to say is aggression, anger, all that stuff, that comes from liver. Every organ has it and has it as an emotion. So aggressiveness and anger, that's the liver screaming out what that is.
Yeah, and so hand in hand with the skin allergy, right? There's something.
Yeah. Okay.
So great question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Got another question here from Eve about a puppy who's licking his tail quite a bit and has left a hot spot that's not healing with herbal balms. Some of it might be physical. His tail is actually kinked, but she's also wondering if this might be anxiety related to his history as a starving street dog when he was younger. So what do you think about that, Cindy?
Well, it could be a physical problem with the tail. Yes, it could be. But it could also be anxiety where the skin symptom was coming from. So I would think it's probably more related to him being on the street starving. You know, we don't know what the animal ate. You know what I mean? They're eating. Yes, they do know what's good and bad for them, but sometimes when you're hungry, you eat things that really should not be good. So again, this goes back to skin symptoms. All skin symptoms is the liver and the digestion problem. So until you clean up the liver and the digestion, the skin symptoms are not going to go away. So I would again select a homeopathic remedy according to what the actual skin symptoms are. What makes the skin better or worse? You know, they're itching. You know, are they itching? Is the animal now want to lay more in heat, like where the sun is? The animal be more where it's cooler. Those are other clues that we would look for observation in selecting a remedy for skin. You know, is it oozing? What does the skin look like? Is it flaky? Is it like rawness? You know, so. And as far as the anxiety, the licking could be coming from anxiety, and that could be why he got the hot spot. But if he got the hot spot first, more than like he's licking it because he's trying to take care of it. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and I would, just to go along with that, you know, some other things might be like rebalancing meridians, using Reiki, just to, again, get all of the systems working the way they were intended to work. So, and flower essences, again, and Reiki are great for the anxiety spectrum. So, yeah, we would know a little bit more with an animal communication session, maybe what did happen, you know, during a time on the street that would give us the clue about which direction to go in, but all of those would be great solutions to pursue for that particular case. So, all right, we have another question here from Judy. Why is my puppy eating sticks and tree bark all the time? And why is goose poop so darn appetizing? Cindy?
Well, we talked about this before.
We did.
So this is pica. He's looking for calcium is what he's looking for, unless he has had some sort of an illness or something that he's on a medication. That could be another reason why he's doing that, which I mentioned earlier. We talked about pica. So again, I would select a homeopathic remedy according to what his symptoms are. And, you know, in eating indigestible things, unless you knew that there was something else going on, if he seems more hyper, more anxiety, then we'd address those reasons why. And, you know, why is he seeking out the goose poop? Well, you know, not to be gross, but probably whatever that animal, whatever that, you know, the goose is eating is what he's digesting. He needs that particular nutrient. That's why he's drawn to that. You know, it's like you can have a whole smorgasbord of foods there. And if you did the smelling way of eating, you would smell the food that smelled the best to you is what you're going to eat. And that's what your body needs. So it's the same thing. We're the dumb ones. The animals are the smart ones. So the animal knows what they do need. I know it's gross, but there's something in there that animal is looking for. So we need to address the pica, and that he will no longer need to go, you know, and eat those things, eat the goose poop.
Yeah. Now, Judy, you're with us on the call tonight. Do you want to, did we answer your question? Or do you have something else you want to throw in there?
Judy?
You're unmuted, if you're still with us.
Judy, you still with us?
You might be muted on your side.
I don't have a microphone.
Okay. Great. Saw that in chat. Okay, good. Thank you. No worries. And then we have one more, and then I think one or two more here, and then we'll open it up just for a general discussion here. Okay, so we have a rescue dog who was neutered just before they fostered him. And since they fostered him, he's had episodes where his penis and the area underneath his anus swell, and it comes and goes. It doesn't happen for days, and then it happens again. Also has a slight discharge from the penis at times, but mostly clear like a gel. Urine test came back initially with traces of blood, but now comes back clean on a recheck. He acts normal and happy. So is there anything homeopathically that she can do to support him?
Well, I would ask, how long have you had him? He's 4 years old. He was just neutered before you got him. So I would want to know how long you've had. If you only had him for 6 months ago, he was just neutered. So I'd be looking for, is there, what I want to say, is it infected from the neutering? Is there something else that needs to be addressed? So if there's an infection, then I would address the infections, what I would address with a homeopathic remedy. My other thought would be is that he's had blood work done. Did the vet look at it? What was the vet's comments? The vet I would think would have looked at it and said, oh, there's an infection here, or gave you some sort of a clue as to what's going on there. Right. So we don't always need to know the clinical name in homeopathy. We go according to what the symptoms are. So, what you may say what the symptoms are, what I want to say, you may say what the symptoms are, and does not maybe match what the actual condition is. So that's how we would look at it. So I would look for a remedy. I would, according to what the symptoms are, the discharge. You gave the idea that it's a clear gel kind of a discharge. So that's what I would select a remedy according to, and also for the swelling. But I would look at that. We need more information to really hone in on the actual remedy.
Good. And one more question that came in prior was a 3-year-old neutered Great Dane leaking urine during the night. He'll have a wet spot on the bed, he'll lick himself, and then he gets up and needs to go outside. Pardon me. He's never had a good bladder control, but this particular pattern is unusual for him. He is able to hold his urine during the day and rarely has an accident. More likely when they get home and he gets excited, or if he's sniffing a new smell and then he has a little urine squirt and he runs toward the door. They also have a 10-month-old baby in the house now that is crawling, and so they're not sure if it's behavioral or medical. So yeah. We can talk about that a little earlier too. Anything you want?
Well, like you said, when did it start happening? What came first, the baby or the peeing? Mm-hmm. You have to look. We call etiology, never well since. So what happened first? So that could be just as easily addressed that way. Does he? Again, we talked about it before. Is he PO'd because he's got to share his love now with his baby?
Right. Competition.
So, the pet parents have this little human being next to them now, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And then also, he may have a bladder infection. We don't know what's really going on. It could be just anxiety. Maybe the baby's crying. And since the baby's been crying, maybe it's like, shrill to his ears, like firecrackers could be, and maybe that's what's causing it. So we really need to know what came first, the baby or the peeing. So if it came since the baby, I would suspect we have to go back and address he's not happy with the baby there. Not in a bad way, but it's throwing the family energy, the family dynamics off there. Yeah. The other thing I would say is if it happened beforehand, again, I believe, and you could probably, know better than I would know, animals know that, there's a baby in the oven there. Mm-hmm. Animals know that. So, and if you're anxious and nervous about, they pick up on your energy too. So yeah. It may need to address the parents in that case if the peeing problem started beforehand. Yeah. So I also look at it as maybe as a UTI. I would look at it to be.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It is a lot of times about them picking up, what we're mirroring. And so if we're anxious about how's it going to go now between the dog and the baby, or You know, if you're calm about it and everybody's just like, well, this is normal and natural. We had, you know, 2 dogs and now we have 2 dogs and a baby, and it's just everybody's sort of flowing with that, then that works out great. You know, there's not a lot of anxiety there. But if you're like, oh my God, is the baby gonna get hurt by the dogs? Are the dogs gonna accept the baby? You know, then you have a lot of, as you said, the dynamics get a little bit wonky, a lot of anxiety, and that kind of just rubs off on everybody. So. But we would know a lot more if we did the communication, or we just, you know, got a bigger picture of, like you said, the etiology around that. So I think that's it for the questions we're going to take tonight. We're really at our end of our time. So It was really great for everybody who was able to join us live on the call. Thank you for these great questions that you submitted ahead of time. We're so happy to be here with you. And we want to thank you all for caring enough to holistically address all of your pets' issues. And if you're interested in the Premier Pet Package, by all means, watch your inbox tomorrow for some follow-up and some information. And you can take advantage of that this week before the special price ends. And don't forget to check in with us next month. If you haven't registered already, April 10th is our next teleconference, and that's going to be on healing your pet's emotions. Healing the pet emotions is the key to lasting healing, and we're really hoping that you'll join us for that session. So we'll talk to you all then. Thank you very much. Enjoy the replay if you're watching this on replay, and we'll see you next month. Thanks.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.